You're watching New Orleans Saints Now. I am Tom Downey, producer Trace alongside me today as we take a look at your questions and ideas and comments and thoughts on everything going on around the New Orleans Saints as part of today's mailbag. We begin with Kyle Brister, who says Michael Thomas looks good coming out of his cuts with full force. Of course, his hands haven't fallen off. Kyle says this Saints team will be ultra committed. So we'll begin with some discussion on Michael Thomas, who is back. Team drills 11 on 11 for the first time in what feels like a lot longer than just over a year. Even went to the ground, got back up, no issue, which kind of like is that first like big deep breath, hold it, wait for him to get up, and then exhale, and now everything's feeling a little bit better from that standpoint. So yes, Kyle, Michael Thomas does look good, and that's a big deal for this Saints offense. Last year, in particular at receiver, it was not good. They were down to Tre'Quan Smith and Marquez Callaway and Deonte Harty as your number 3 receivers, and now those guys could legitimately be 4, 5, and 6 among your receivers, with Michael Thomas back as wide receiver 1, Chris Olave, who I love out of Ohio State, primed to be a dynamic number 2 early on in his career as a vertical and just flawless route runner to an extent. Jarvis Landry will be a good slot receiver for you. Of course, you can still use Michael Thomas on underneath stuff. And then now you've got incredible depth in Marquez Callaway, Tre'Quan Smith, Harty, etc. It was worrisome when Callaway, Smith, and Harty were your lead guys. Now they're your backups. When that's the case, you go from being worried about your wide receiver depth to having one of the better wide receiver rooms in the entire NFL. The receiver room is more talented this year, and that will take some of the pressure off of Michael Thomas and allow Jameis Winston to work the football around and help prevent potential double teams or bracket coverages on Michael Thomas. When he played in 2020, let's be honest, he wasn't the same guy. 40 catches, 438 yards, 0 touchdowns. Didn't play at all in 2021. Last time we saw him truly in 2019 was his 149 catch campaign for 1,700 plus yards and 9 touchdowns. I don't know if it's going to be quite as productive this year, but I do think we'll get more of the old, original, the good version of Michael Thomas. So do you think that Michael Thomas is going to dominate this year? This will be our pinned question on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, type in Y for yes, or you can type in N for no. Will MT dominate this year? From Peter Gailey, however you pronounce that name, CD, i.e. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, deserves at least $15 or $16 million a year. He's been a big standout on the defense. That would put Chauncey Gardner-Johnson among the highest paid safeties in the NFL. Now, I will make note that for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's role, who I love, by the way, he's one of my favorite players in the NFL in large part because he is, I think, the best trash talker in the NFL. It's not just safety. He plays a ton of nickel corner as well. So I also say keep an eye on the deal for Colts corner. Oh, I forgot his name altogether. Kenny Moore the second. Kenny Moore will reset the nickel corner market. I wonder how Chauncey Gardner-Johnson will approach himself. I bet he's going to go for safeties because those are a bit more expensive there. The number you mentioned, my friend, would put him in the top 5 among safeties. Maybe Budda Baker's a decent, similar-ish play style since he tends to play near the box as well. Different role than blitz boy Jamal Adams, after all. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, beyond being the premier trash talker of this team, is a very dynamic football player in terms of what he's able to do on the field. He's able to do coverages, he's able to do run support, blitzing, etc. He's done a lot for this team over the years. 2021, he had 3 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, 2 sacks, and 4 tackles for loss in that campaign. He's a good football player. In fact, he's a great football player. So I have no doubt that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a key part of this team short-term and moving forward. He is a big culture piece for the defense as well. As long as you can make the money work, I'm all for it. Now, I would bet that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson wants to be the highest paid safety on the team. Oftentimes being the highest paid guy in your room, in your meeting room, I should say, is a big deal for players. Now, Tyrann Mathieu making $9 million per year. Marcus May, $7.5. I have a tough time seeing the Saints going, yes, let's give Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, May, and Matthews money combined. But I also think the Saints are the smartest team, along with the Rams, in terms of being able to manage their salary cap. Money ain't no problem for New Orleans, nor should it be. They are aggressive in retaining the guys that they want to retain. I bet Gardner-Johnson falls in that category. So with that in mind, how much would you be willing to pay C.D.? Is it that $16 million range, or is it more, even half of that figure? Sound off in the comment section. Now, if you want a shout out on a future video, subscribe and be a real one in the process. Only real ones subscribe to us here on New Orleans Saints Now. So hit that big red button. Once you've done so, type in real one for a future shout out, like the ones you're about to give. Savage24 Who Dat, Joe Bidenov, that's a fun name, Randall Ray, Jeremy Gates, Do Good Enterprises, Calvin Washington, Will Scott, a different one, Go Tigers, Darren Early, and Jonathan Felder, all subscribers here at New Orleans Saints Now. We appreciate you guys being a part of the channel. From Ken Fox, too many training camps are too dangerous because there's too many people fighting for a job. Smoke and Taysom Hill both down. Who's next? They need to take the foot off the pedal some, don't you think? That's not a hypocrite saying so that because I've been thrown out of so many karate dojos when I wore a younger man's clothes. Ken, I appreciate the comment. I actually don't agree, though. It is brutal and unfortunate and sad that Smoke Monday, among others, are out for the year, placed on IR. That sucks for those guys. Monday was impressing. But the only way to get better at football is to play and practice. If you're not pushing yourselves in camp, when the games arrive that matter, you're going to struggle because you're not prepared to play. Injuries are a part of football. They happen, and they are unfortunate, including the one for Smoke Monday. By the way, here is what Monday had to say. First of all, let me just say I want to thank the Saints organization for providing the chance of a lifetime to come and showcase my godly ability. I just want to set the record straight for anyone who might have any concerns about my knee. I suffered a torn ACL and will miss the season, but I want everyone to know I'm doing great and in good spirits and will be having surgery very soon. I'm planning to use this time to get healthier and continue to learn the system inside and out. Just wanted to say thanks to everyone who has called to check up on me about my injury. Trust that I'll be 10 times stronger when I return. God only gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, and I am unquestionably one of them. Meanwhile, as for Taysom Hill and his injury update, he was finally spotted, at least at day 10 of training camp. He's got the rib injury, recovering from the Lisfranc issue. I'm not overly concerned about Taysom Hill because I'm not that worried about him from impacting the team, if I'm being honest here. Producer Trace knows I've never been a big Taysom Hill guy, at least as a quarterback. Fun gadget player, but not a quarterback. Here's what John Hendricks had to say. Taysom Hill was spotted outdoors doing some work. We pointed out the other day that he looks like he's bulked up a good bit. No pads for him today, but it looks like he's getting closer every time we see him. I think bulked up refers to bit stronger, a bit more muscular, which makes sense when you're going to be a gadget tight end, special teamer, and not a starting quarterback. Now, if you are excited for some Saints football, like I think everybody watching is, or at least should be, type in Who Dat right now in the comment section. Speaking of Saints football, preseason football finally around the corner. Allie wants to know what should we expect from the Saints preseason game this week. Remember, only 3 preseason games, so not as impactful. As for the Saints, not nearly as much key guys going to be out there. The Saints are a 5.5-point favorite. We can pretty much attribute that to the better backup quarterback situation. Always bet on the better backups in the preseason quarterback-wise, even though you probably shouldn't be betting on the preseason games anyway. Some things to watch for in this game. The rotations and how they're used in the deployment of the wide receiver room, offensive line, tight end, defensive line. I doubt we'll see much, if any, of guys like Jarvis Landry, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Cam Jordan, the big key parts. But the depth and the backups, those guys will rotate heavily. Assuming it's Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram as RB1, RB2, RB3 job is wide open. Dwayne Washington, Abram Smith, who I like a lot as a UDFA, last year's hype guy, Tony Jones Jr., Divine Azigbo, and Malcolm Brown, not the defensive tackle, the running back, Malcolm Brown. That will be a key battle to watch in the preseason. Also, Ian Book. The Saints have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, not including Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton. It is still the same-ish regime that drafted him, even though Sean Payton is gone. He will not be given a job in the same way he was last year. He has to show at least some promise, I think, in the preseason to make the team. I'm also watching two of the younger offensive linemen, Trevor Penning, and not playing through the whistle and the other whistle and the third whistle that came and then getting flagged for it. Dial it back a little bit, Penning, and don't get kicked out of the game like you have at practice so far. And maybe one of the more surprising recent first-round disappointments, for me at least, Cesar Ruiz has not been the guy I thought he was going to at Michigan, or coming out of Michigan. I hope he takes a step forward this year. Like I mentioned, I don't think you're going to see many of your key players on offense or defense. Tyrann Mathieu, who's of course missed so much of training camp so far, Michael Thomas, those guys will be held out. And if they do play, I'm talking, or any of the big notable veterans, I'm talking a series or two most likely. So who you got in this one? I think I know which route we're going to go here. S for the Saints or T for the Texans? Sound off in the comments section. And remember, while you're down there, if you want to be a part of a future Saints mailbag, use hashtag Saints to get on the show.